Hello, shall be the cry. So this week she's got a post-it. She doesn't have a screen record because she's watched Epoxy 4 films, and I've been so busy today, it's ridiculous, that I just don't have time to do the whole usual palaver. I've just sat in front of this thing, I've thrown a bit of slap on my face. My hair, I had actually curled this today and it's all fallen out. I've started doing this Keep Fit thing called Rock Fit, which is basically like aerobics or dance moves to like rock music, and I'm really enjoying it, but I have to take it quite slow with my fibro, and all my hair's just fallen out. So yeah, I'm not a good state when I finished it, guys. It's a sight to behold. It actually isn't a sight to behold, it's shocking, but it's good fun, so what can you do? She will get that extra stone off before Florida, it will happen. So what have I watched in the last weeks, guys? So on the 8th, I watched a movie called One Cut of the Dead. This is a 2017 movie. It's a, can I say very low budget? I think it is a very low budget zombie movie. This is very, very highly rated and revered amongst the horror community, and I really did not like it. Neither did my husband, who's a massive zombie fan. This movie is basically a movie in a movie. So we follow a director shooting a zombie movie, and we see the whole process of that, and then we sort of switch to stuff that's happening outside of the film and of the same movie. So we see a lot of the same stuff twice from different angles, from different character perspectives. And I have to say I wasn't a big fan. I persisted because a lot of reviews said even if you watch it and you're hating it, stay with it. So when you start to watch it, you're seeing the zombie movie being filmed and the acting's not the best and the effects are absolutely terrible. And then we actually cut to a real zombie outbreak that happens while the film is being filmed, and then our effects improve a bit and stuff. So it wasn't for me. What can I say, guys? It is really highly rated. I will try and remember to take a photograph of my Letterboxd with other people's ratings for it to let you know. Just because I didn't like it doesn't necessarily mean you won't. If you're a big zombie fan and you like to watch, it's a kind of found footage style. So yeah, One Cut of the Dead. I can't remember. I maybe rated it 1.5 out of 5. Can't remember. So the following evening, I watched something on Netflix called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I don't like to say that word unless I'm cross or I'm excited or I'm like, what's the word? That sounded all kinds of wrong. I didn't mean it like that at all. I meant like, you know, if you see something you're not expecting, you go, fuck's sake. You know, I meant like that. I didn't mean in the other. Jesus, Lacey, you're digging a bigger hole for yourself. Digging a bigger hole. So, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. What this I thought was about was kind of like an ironic, light-hearted, funny look at life. This is actually televised from, it's a documentary taken from a book that was written about the subtle art of not giving a damn, really. I love the concept of not caring what people think. Now that's difficult to do, and as you get older it gets much easier. When I was younger, I very much was preoccupied with what other people thought of me, and I got really upset if people didn't like me. As I've got older, and obviously you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, not everyone's going to like you, and you have to be able to be happy enough and content enough in that and just not give a shit. So I thought this would be quite funny, quite irreverent, quite just an easy watch on an evening, and it completely wasn't like that at all. Now perhaps, you know, it's probably really well made. It's that situation where you watch something that is not at all what you thought it was going to be. It's very deep. It's talking about how this guy approached different situations in his life and how certain things that happened shaped him as a person, how it changed his perspective on things, how he approached life differently, and it takes us all the way through his life from when he was really young, how he changed and developed as a person. Accepting responsibility for things is a big part of it, accepting that in relationships, and I've always said this and it's a big thing for me, there isn't like one story about relationships and about the end of a relationship. There's one person's take, there's the other person's take, and the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Relationships I've always said it's never one person's fault. You can never say, oh, he was a complete so-and-so. Both parties are culpable to some extent in relationships, sometimes more one than the other. But this guy has been able to sort of look back on his life, look back at a person he was 10 years prior and think, what a dickhead, what an arse I was. Now I understand why my ex left me. And it's kind of quite profound, quite deep. and it just wasn't what I was expecting to watch. So I can't remember what I rated it, but I felt disappointed because I wanted to watch something quite funny and witty and succinct and punchy, and it wasn't what it was. But if it sounds like something you would like, then check it out. It is based on a best-selling book by the same guy that we're interviewing all the way through. On the next evening, I watched a movie called Clock, which was brought to my attention by, first of all, it was Mike from Did You See That? And then I think RWR Reviews also spoke about it, and they both mentioned it being quite difficult to relate to because it's about a woman at a certain time of her life. Basically, the biological clock is ticking and she still doesn't want children. Her husband wants kids, her family want kids, like parents and stuff want kids, but she just doesn't feel that desire to have kids. She's in her late 30s. She goes to an actual, I don't know, like a course, a treatment thing, where they profess to make you ready to have kids. They can psychologically change your mindset, and they can make you be in a position where you're ready. And this is what the movie's about. I found it really interesting. I enjoyed it. I never wanted children. Until people always said, "Oh, you'll get to a certain age and it'll all change," and I was very much, nah. I've always been the kind of person that if you put a puppy in front of me, I will react the way most people will when you put babies in front of them. It's like, oh, and all that cooing, and you want to cuddle it, you want to hold it, you want to at it. I feel that way about puppies and little baby animals. Not so much babies. If women came into like my workplace and somebody had a baby, and all the women would be flocking around, I'd be like, oh, I'm just no interest, not remotely interested in babies whatsoever. So I always felt that I was never going to be a mum. I would never have children. And I think I hit about 33 and I changed my mind completely. I don't know, I'm not saying that will happen to everyone because it won't. I can very much understand the viewpoint of couples that decide not to have children, because I was that person. I did not want kids. I had no maternal instinct whatsoever, but it changed for me. And I think in this, this woman has been expecting this change to come, and everyone has told her this will happen, and it just never did. And she wants to change that because she knows that her husband really wants kids. She wants to feel that completeness that all her friends talk about, that she feels she's missing out on. And things get a little bit dark. It's not a horror by any stretch of the imagination, it's a drama. It is quite dark in places, but I really enjoyed it. But I do understand that maybe to most men it won't be particularly interesting, because your biological clock is not something that you ever worry about. It's not like a psychological issue for you guys, but for women it very much is. So yeah, I enjoyed it, Clock. And finally, last night, so I had a 3-day gap from watching any form of movie, and I watched a movie, I think it's from 1972, and it's called Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. This was on Prime. I saw it, it said 2021, then I clicked on it and it was 1972, so I don't know what's going on there. Dear me. Right, I watched this because I knew it was my husband's kind of thing. He's massively into 70s zombie movies. He loves Romero, he loves Fulci. I love Fulci myself, but he likes some really naff old horrors that I don't like. He loves Hammer. I don't like Hammer horror, unfortunately. So I saw this thing starting and I thought, oh Jesus, this looks shocking. This looks terrible. It's directed by the same guy that went on to direct Porky's and Porky's 2. I don't know if that, and Popcorn and Black Christmas. So maybe I should have started with Popcorn and Black Christmas, but Porky's, what can I say? So this follows a acting troupe and their director that go to a little island where it's basically just a graveyard. A la Evil Dead, there's a book, they read from the book to rise the dead. It doesn't seem to be working. Then it has worked, and then loads of zombies, and that's pretty much the story. The acting is probably amongst the worst you will ever see. It's the main guy in this. Oh Jesus, it's shocking, it's terrible. And his wife is in this as well. They actually call all the characters the same name as the actors. And the director actually hired a ton of his mates to do this. So the main lead guy in this and his wife are flipping awful. It's terrible. I can't even begin to tell you how bad this is. The special effects in places as we near the end's not too bad for the time period. They're okay. You're not going to see anything really impressive. There have been special effects of the 70s that have been amazing. You won't see that here. They're just passable. But the acting is shocking. It's like somebody's bought as well, like sound effect, like CD, well, what cassette, vinyl, whatever it is, sound effect package, and they just had to put them all in and they had to play them all. The amount of animals that are on this little tiny island in the middle of a lake, I don't know what the hell's going on, but the sound effects don't fit. It sounded at one stage like a rabbit was sitting on a toilet, pellet pooping. What the sound effects were, I have no idea. It was nothing fit. The sound design was terrible. The music used was awful. The acting was ridiculous. A couple of the more supporting actors' performances were okay, but it's the sort of thing you could watch with your mates with a few bevies and laugh yourself stupid at. It's that bad. So yeah, children shouldn't play with dead things. I did see a couple of people actually quite enjoyed it. I don't know what they were on when they watched it, but no, it was all kinds of bad. My husband said at the end, you can see where it had quite a few decent ideas that other movies took from and did better later, but overall it wasn't very good. What else have I been watching? Still doing Ted Lasso, still doing Yellow Jackets, still watch. What did I watch last night? I watched loads of TV last night. Annika Rice was doing a challenge for dementia, which was, I used to love Challenge Annika. If you're in America, you won't have a notion what I'm talking about. It was this woman that used to have challenges, and she used to have to go around the whole UK and like perform these challenges. But last night they built a dementia village. It was a little village with there was like a post office, a record store, a cafe, and basically they have staff in there, and people with dementia can go and listen to old records. They had like gramophones and record players, and they can immerse themselves in things that bring them comfort. Little cafe, you know, it was just purpose built for this little, and it was called the Dementia Village, and she had to get like everybody involved in building, like builders, plasterers, joiners, electricians, and then she had to try and get all the materials from different places. And that was actually quite good. I quite enjoyed that. I've been watching I'm a Celebrity South Africa, which is now over. Myleene Class 1, if you've been watching it, the stuff that woman had to eat to win is shocking. She ate, was it 60 mice tails and 45 fermented tofu? Oh Jesus, honest to God, no, it wouldn't be happening. So yeah, what have I talked? 12 minutes, not too bad. So yeah, that's what I've been watching this week, folks. It's been a busy one. It continues to be a busy one. My son's studying for his end of year exams. I'm trying to help him with notes and revision, and it's taken up a lot of time. I'm also volunteering at Scouts as well, so that takes up quite a bit. So I'm not watching as much as I would usually watch, but I'll give you a bit of extra waffle today. I'm about to record another film listography, which is going to be, what was the name of the list? I'm just about to record that now. I'll edit that later in the week when I get a chance. Horror films that freak you out. This was quite difficult for me, and I'm sure I could have thought longer and harder about it, but well, you'll get the first ones that come to my mind. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Sorry there's not much on the old list this week. Let me know below in the comments, have you seen any of the ones I've mentioned? Have you got any recommendations for me for anything you've watched recently? And I look forward to speaking to you next time, guys. Over and out from Lisa Lives.